So because automation required a lot of coding activities, so the automation tester has to wait for a manual tester to create test case. Then he need to write the code. It will take a bit time. Sprint time is just 2 weeks. So all these activities, how will we include this automation as part of the same sprint?
Presentation. If you do lower level automation, and if you can do, for example, test-driven development, something like that, to make developers code their unit tests first, then code the product, and by this way you can have all the unit level test automation scripts in your hand throughout the sprint. And is also these are also functional tests. So these are just, for example, checking if, for example, add to basket button is working or not. When I'm developing, first I develop my test code, then I develop my product code, and this is test-driven development. So the best, I think, way to implement it in a sprint is this way. Plus, what you do some part of automation out of the sprint. So it is from the macro perspective. You have regression tests automated, and those people will not be working in the sprints in the team. They do regression test automation, and while you are doing, for example, your releases at the end of the sprint, you ask those guys to run their regression tests at the end of your sprint. So it is independent from one side of automation, should be independent of the sprint development, and one portion, especially the lower levels, could be included into coding.
But the UI developers, because the screen is always keep on changing. When the new product, the deployment happens, then only the automation tester came to know that the screen is being changed. So I have to do some work on my automation script as well to execute the automation script on the same sprint. So there will be a delay.
I think I would request you to take this question in terms of what is a piece of advice you would give for testers and the testing community at a wider level, considering automation and some of the trends that you have seen. Maybe a quick kind of note, and then we'll close it. I think maybe Thakur, you want to go first in terms of your advice to the testing community from what you have seen and what you're seeing in progressing as well.
I think the simple thing that I say, talk to my team, is that change is the only thing that's permanent is change, right? So there's a lot of change, and I'm coming in terms of the need how to think and do all this kind of thing. So I don't call manual testers, I call manual testing, right? So essentially, I think it is important that for the testing professionals to pick up some technical skills, right? That is one thing I think will help us in the long run, right? Or else you cannot be in between. Either you have to become very much expert on the functional side, can go into probably a business analyst or product management kind of a role, or you have to come a little closer. The distance between developer and tester has to reduce, right? And I think the testing world has taken at least the first step, right, in terms of moving closer to development, and development has to do their bit. That's one, right? The other thing is that in this new setup of faster delivery and things like that, how soon and how fast can I become the first customer of the product, right? My job is not only to say whether this function works or not. My job has to be like thinking, would my customer be happy looking at what I'm delivering, right? How do I get into the shoes of the customer is probably another aspect I think the testing professional has to do.
So two things, one is technical aspect, and secondly the customer viewpoint in the tester itself.
Absolutely.
Okay, I think Manoj, you want to just...
as I mentioned earlier, basically we need to look at how do we update our skill set based on the digital or the latest trends what we have seen. And in short, from a reactive validation what we are doing, from there to somewhat proactive guardian kind of stuff from an from a customer point of view. That is something what we need to look at.
Okay, more same as what more proactive kind of take from the tester viewpoint. So, and maybe your views?
I think we're going to be looking at, one of the big things I advocate for any tester is to get good at coaching. I think you'll be looking at coaching other people on how to help them test. The other thing I would say is don't be afraid of technology. It actually, embrace it. I ordered over the internet a little IoT button, played around with it, learned a little about how to do it, how to use it and how to test with that. And you can do these things. They can be done. Just takes one little step at a time and you will get there. So, I think it's for a lot of us is my advice would be don't be afraid. It is a scary world. There's lots of change out there, but you can do it. And if there are people, and we're in an era now where there's so much available on the internet that we can learn and we can grow and we can do all these things. So, and there's a wonderful software testing community out there that's willing to help people and mentor people. So there is help.
Yeah, I think so. Essentially, don't stop learning. Continue to embrace the new areas as well. And
from that point on, I think we all should work for the betterment of testing, share our knowledge and promote and sell testing. For example, if your aunt or uncle asks you what you do, don't say like, okay, we are just checking a product, if it's working or not, which is very, very boring for me. Okay. It is not the way that we promote testing. If you promote it, then it becomes your main career path, and then you put more effort on it. So you need to promote it and sell it first. Then just if you are not that technical skilled, you can start with some basic coding. You can have a look at those. You can read a code, for example. Try to read a code or review a code. These are not things to be afraid of. So everyone can do coding, if you ask me, even coming from a non-technical background. So we need to decrease the gap between developers and testers. If this gap remains the same, like testers do not know anything about coding and developers doesn't have any testing concepts or ideas in their mind, we will have these struggles maybe 30 years later. So the thing is, for example, when I train people, I want to see more developers in my classroom, but they are not sent to my trainings by their supervisors because they are biased against testing. And the same is valid for testers. They are really biased against coding, which is like a rocket science. So they are coding. They just do copy and paste, yeah? So I know it from myself. All the code in the world, really. All the code in the world is written. So you just pick the correct one and adopt it. So you don't invent the wheel every day. So believe me, all the things, all the jobs, all the responsibilities, until after some point, they become repetitive. So you cannot cope with it. You can just cope with it with such kind of conferences, with sharing your knowledge, with writing some blogs, and sharing your knowledge. So this is my perspective.
Yeah, thank you very much, all of you. I think we just exceeded by 10%. That's okay. The time and
technologies and stuff like that. So if you look at every branches of IT, right, there is some technological advancements that is happening, through constant R&Ds. What are those that are qualifying in testing? Like, what are the kinds of R&Ds that's going on in the testing world that we take it to the next level, like testing or automation? Yeah,
I think it's a final question itself is bringing up. So maybe any final word on it before we so what's progressing? Like testing is taking a lead and from there on.
If you see Agile, it is taking the product management to the next level. So
what do we have any thoughts, or we can discuss over lunch as well? So I think we're parking for the time being, but we discussed some of the things of AI coming in testing itself. Those are the areas. I think I was just going through the response you all gave for the questionnaire. One predominant skill which everybody brought in is that one skill set that is required is automation. That is the development skill. So clearly that is coming out as a key one. I really appreciate all of you giving your input, and thanks for it. and we just exceeded time a bit. Thanks to everyone for asking questions and being participative audience. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, many thanks to our esteemed panelists and Prashant for doing such wonderful moderation. So let's start off with you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Man.
As the partition comes. All right, friends, so post the track split, I would like to introduce as part of track 1, Dr. Shankar Ramamurthy, the Chief Customer Success Officer with Herman Connected Services, who will be covering the next topic. So, Mr. Ramamurthy, maybe a brief introduction about yourself and you can take it from there. Thank you.
I'm very old. Okay. I'm Dr. Shankar, and I'm working with Harman, 27 years in the industry, and I was listening to all the conversations here, and it's not audible? Okay. And my brief profile is, I come from the IT industry, which wasn't today, and it was almost 27 years of journey. Testing is my passion, and I went all the way to do a PhD in testing from IIT Delhi. And because testing is my passion, I keep coming and talking about testing in all the conferences. And I'm very happy to be here amongst all of you who are going to take testing as a profession, who are doing testing as a profession, and who wants to take up testing as a profession. So I put together a small discussion around this. Before coming here, I was working for a company called Amdocs as a quality business partner in Pune. And there I developed a patented test framework called BEAT, which was one of the few first frameworks on machine learning and on analytics. And before working in Amdocs, I was head of testing for different companies in Mumbai. Started my career with a company called CDOT way back in late 80s. And purely a quality and a testing guy to the core of heart. And I'm sure, how many of you are testers here? Oh, okay, so I'm a very happy person. Okay, and so that's a brief profile about me. So before I start, I know you have listened a lot. Can we all take a testing oath? Can you all stand up? Sorry, yes. Can you keep your hands like this? Oh, that was good. Are you on the video? This has to be recorded. We are going to take an oath. At least I have taken it many times over the 27 years. Oath number 1, or commandment number 1. Say aloud with me, I am a tester. I am proud of it. I own the product. I can so much salt it. I am the pride factor in the IT industry. I can shift right. I can shift left. I can shift up. And I am going to be the customer's driver's seat. I am the customer advocate. Layoffs may happen. Nobody can touch me because I am the Shiva. I don't create. I just destroy. I don't create. I co-create. I am the world I am at the center of the universe. I am the king. I am the context imperial tester. I test because I love. I don't test. Bit of being a tester. How many of you agree with me? And then somebody told that you don't do manual testing, do automation. I did automation. Somebody told don't do automation, do DevOps. I did DevOps. Tomorrow somebody will say don't do DevOps, do test ops. I will do it because I have to keep my kitchen fires burning. I have to test. How many of you have taken testing as a profession because you didn't want to do development? Raise your hands. Don't worry, don't worry. Now do you like it? Very good. How many of you said, okay fine, I will pass out and become a tester? Great. 4 of you. Tell Unicom, I'm not new to Unicom, I keep coming here. I always tell them that the only problem which I see as a head of testing in various organizations, this is a little different role I'm playing in Harman Connected Services. I go and tell my customers that look, we have got somebody who are going to be the central fulfillment center. That means there will be only one department in IT industry 5 years from now. Can you guess? There will be only one function in the IT industry 5 years from now. Can you guess? No guess? Yes, I'm hearing some whispers slowly, and that's why I'm donning this role. And I'm donning this role only to sell testing, I'll tell you. Yes? There'll be only one customer fulfillment center 5-6 years from now, like this SDET has come. There'll be only one center which will say, I have to make my customers happy. That center will have developers who code, testers who test, ops who will do operations. But there is a lurking fear, and that's why I thought you should know about it. There is a very big killer which has come. I call it as an Uberization of outsourcing. Have you heard about the term RPA? How many of you have heard about RPA? Okay, that makes my job easier. And that's what I'm going to talk the next 40 minutes. RPA stands for Robotic Process Automation. Have you heard about CRPA? Cognitive Robotic Process Automation. What is this? Anyone in the audience? Before I have a lot of data to share, but I want to hear from all of you, my young testers. What is this? This is something which is going to make you more and more proud, because how many of you say testing is a boring job? I'm asking a tough question. Okay, let me put it the other way around. How many of you say testing is, how many of you are, okay, now this is, I don't want to create a caste system here, manual versus automation, but give some honest answers because I have to drive the discussion. How many of you are manual testers here? Are you manually bored?
Initially it is interesting, but again when we have to retest it, it becomes boring.
Perfect. The gentleman looks senior, I think he understands it better. Initially everything is interesting. Initially everything is interesting. Marriage is also interesting. सब कुछ अच्छा लगता है पहले, फिर सब कुछ हमें बहुत बोरिंग लगता है. Why? Because we decided to take some uninteresting work because we didn't have any other work. We told the world that we are stupid. We started doing menial jobs. We started doing clerical jobs because we had to keep the kitchen fires burning. And that's where the RPA says, come up the value chain, do interesting things, live the non-interesting things. You know who is your new friend now? The robos. The new friend is most unintelligent guy who does all nonsense, stupid things, taking you up the value chain. You do decision making, you do pattern recognition, you can do something else, but there is a lot of people to do some interesting work for you which you don't like it, and that's where the robotic process automation started. How many of you write many test cases. At least my team writes lots of test cases and says, sir, I am very busy.